Hello, and thank you for joining us to learn about the state-level Arizona Community of Practice on Transition. In this presentation, we will help you understand how transition partners are working together across Arizona to support improving outcomes for youth and young adults who have disabilities. We will also showcase our Arizona Community of Practice on Transition website, where you can find additional information and resources. Although there are many pieces to the transition process, as well as the transition requirements under the IDEA, aligned with today's presentation and the work we set out to do in our Arizona Community of Practice on Transition, this slide is highlighting the interagency component. Research has proven that when a student is connected to resources and agencies that will support them in the transition process during and after high school, they have better post-school outcomes. We feel strongly that making early connections between a student and family to the appropriate adult transition partners supports a more seamless transition from school to the adult world. In a community of practice model, the Leading by Convening framework presents us with a model to focus on a common issue, in this case, transition outcomes for youth and young adults who have disabilities. Ensures everyone has a voice and participates, and creates a collaborative team that is sharing the work that needs to be done. Leadership changes yearly, giving all partners an opportunity to lead by convening. This slide gives you the bigger picture of the Community of Practice on Transition work that is occurring. There is a national presence for Community of Practice on Transition to support states with resources, as well as coming together to learn from each other across states. The second block shows we have a state Community of Practice on Transition, which is what you're learning about today. And even more importantly, the bottom block gives you a snapshot of only a few of the local Community of Practices on Transition across Arizona. The local Community of Practices on Transition bring together their local partners to address the transition needs within their specific communities. Later in the presentation, we will share the list of all of the current local communities of practices across Arizona. The Arizona Community of Practice Transition Team. This is our vision statement: to improve successful outcomes for youth and young adults who have disabilities. The Arizona Community of Practice on Transition is working to create a future where youth and young adults receive supports and services early, the skills and knowledge that allow them to make choices, and person-centered planning. To learn self-advocacy, decision-making, to optimize their transition, to access real-world opportunities, to achieve economic self-sufficiency, and to sustain healthy and satisfying adult lives. And lastly, to acquire academic, vocational, and independent living. Continuing with our vision to increase successful outcomes for youth and young adults who have disabilities, the state Community of Practice model creates, reviews, and promotes state-level support for local-level work, includes family and youth and young adult voices, uses the Leading by Convening that requires a high degree of organizational collaboration for a collective impact, invites multiple state agencies and services to come together to combine resources, including funding, people, and/or data. And lastly, requires representatives to meet regularly to discuss and review responsibility and accountability for both individual and organizational action that will lead to the desired vision for youth and young adults. The mission of the Arizona Community of Practice on Transition is to improve the lifelong outcomes for youth and young adults who have disabilities. Our team does this by bringing together agency, community, and local services to have a collective, coordinated, and collaborative impact. informing and educating the public and each other about what we do and how to access us, addressing unmet needs through collaboration, evaluating the transition process and systems, articulating and recommending data-driven outcome improvements through policy and programming, and strengthening local teams by supporting development, expansion, removing barriers, and enhancing creative problem solving. Continuing with the guiding principles of our Arizona Community of Practice, which include, we own and support decisions through modified consensus, honor and purposefully include youth and families. We balance two lenses, the representing and linking agency interests and their needs, as well as connecting and focusing on the greater good. We're outcome-driven, focused on results for individuals with disabilities. We work in partnership by supporting, advising, and assisting each other. We take responsibility and follow through with commitments. We communicate regularly and we actively participate. We build on existing knowledge, research, and resources. We treat all with respect, focus on the positive with a solution orientation, and have intentional listening to connect and/or support items and issues in an effort to strengthen work, reduce overlaps, and address gaps.
The purpose of the Arizona Community of Practice on Transition is to facilitate collaboration among the various supports and services in Arizona available to individuals who have disabilities as they become adults. Our role is to coordinate specific community agency supports and services from the various core members that are listed on this slide. Our core members include state agencies, as well as other organizations that provide supports and services to individuals who have disabilities, specifically those that serve youth. The primary goals of the Arizona Community of Practice are interagency collaboration and communication to ensure we are all working towards the same outcome. We provide guidance to all stakeholders on how to create actual linkages across a variety of supports available to individuals with disabilities. And we really like to prioritize creating local communities of practice to meet the needs of youth and families in their own communities. This slide shows where our current local communities of practice are around the state. As you can see, we have 10, and they are scattered around different communities throughout Arizona. And we are constantly working on trying to develop more local communities of practice in different regions. Some of the current collaboration areas that we are working on now are improving communication between the local communities of practice. The state community of practice is offering quarterly meetings for the local communities of practice in order for them to share ideas and help problem solve. This has been some really good communication going on around the state and providing local communities of practice an opportunity to really collaborate with one another more so than they ever have in the past. We also have an increased focus on establishing new local communities of practice. We want more communities around the state to have their own local communities of practice in order to address their unique needs as a community. And we are currently working on developing a transition guide. This guide will be used or available for parents, youth, other organizations out there, and it will outline the different resources that are available for youth all around the state. It is being put together by the various core partners of the state level community of practice. If you have any questions, you can visit our website or email us. We've provided the email address and a link to our website on this slide. Thank you.